The year I turned 16, my mother threw me a huge birthday party, 50s style. She bought hula hoops and poodle skirts and drove me and my best friend all over downtown Fort Worth in search of old 45s. We followed her through the maze of record bins and several small stores, everything smelling of dust and of ancient, a blur of forgotten times. I sidestepped down the rows, flipping through paper sleeves, unsure as to what I was looking for. My mother, though, danced from bin to bin, pulling out more and more of the songs she loved. Fats Domino, Blueberry Hill, she said, holding the record high. Sam Cooke, Only 16, almost whispering, that's a good one. My friend and I giggled and leaned into each other when she bubbled over with stories about the first time she heard this song or the time she danced to that. Stories about her teenage years and first loves. She was more alive than I'd ever seen her, eyes wide and filled with an energy that lit up the store even more than the sun that day. We drove home with arms full of records, and when we got to the house, she played tune after tune on the stereo, and we danced, and she sang, and I won't forget that feeling that I just had a glimpse into a secret room that was my mother. My mother was a model, and an actress, and an artist. These things I knew, but they were only hobbies, subjects we didn't discuss over dinner or at bedtimes. They were almost like secrets, like the self-portrait she painted when I was 10 years old. The painting she mentioned briefly when my sister and I asked what she was doing, the one we weren't supposed to see. As soon as she told us not to go up into her art room, not to go snooping around, we decided we would. We searched in silence through canvases filled with trees and ocean scenes and flowers until we found it, the painting of a woman with hair and eyes like our mother, but draped in a sheet like one of those women in museum paintings, barely clad. My sister and I turned to each other, turned back to the portrait. Surely we were mistaken. Wouldn't she paint herself in the kitchen making my favorite meal, chicken and rice in the electric skillet? Or standing by the pool calling us inside after a full day of sun? Or sitting in front of her vanity mirror, putting on the red lipstick that would later find its way to our foreheads when she kissed us goodnight? But there she was, a woman bathed in mystery. The power behind those memories didn't hit me until after I had kids, especially after I had my daughter. I was 36. My mother had been gone for 5 years by then, and in that time, I'd had my son, had too many miscarriages after we decided to try for another, pushed through a long bout of depression, and finally came to with the birth of this chubby little girl on a quiet Sunday afternoon. In some ways, her birth lifted me back to life. Or maybe just pulled me back into reality. Even though she wasn't my first baby, I got nervous when the doctor put her in my arms. She was slippery yet, and I almost lost my grip and thought, what kind of mother drops her baby on the delivery room floor before they've even cut the cord? What kind of mother am I? At one point when my daughter was still quite young, I looked in the mirror and saw my mother's neck, her freckled shoulders, her brown eyes. I squinted and too easily spotted the crow's feet. I couldn't ignore the post-childbirth belly. I understood why she bought that Esther Williams bikini when she was in her early 40s, the one that covered her middle and graced her bottom and changed her reflection in the mirror. I had changed after 2 kids, and in some ways, I wanted to go back. I remembered that day in the record store, the possibility in that painting. I wondered about the kind of self-portrait I might compose. I was never a model, but I was an actress once. I played a mean Mammy Yoakum in Little Abner back in high school. On occasion, I draw stick figure pictures that might qualify as art. I am a writer. My kids know these things. We talk about them often. But what do they really see? It seems silly, but when you're 10 or 12 or 16, you don't think of your mom as too much more than breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as a bedtime reader, as responsible for clean pants on the night of your first 6th grade dance, as high heels in the closet that are rarely worn but make for excellent play. It doesn't even register there might be more to her until you take your brand new baby in your arms and panic and wonder how you might manage this whole motherhood deal while keeping every other part of your own self intact. Then you start searching for your past, for the truth in your present, for those artifacts or memories or tiny legacies like your mother left behind. Reminders that you are enough and yet you are more. Fallible, sometimes afraid, often shy. But on many occasions, you are courageous and creative and full of song. And if you embrace that courage and creativity in even some simple place like a dusty old record store or a well-lit art room, your kids will notice. And like me, they won't forget.